Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thank you for attending this morning service, a perfect morning for Hanamatsuri. First, let me just acknowledge and thank everyone who is making this service possible. Of course, Reverend Gibbs. We are delighted to welcome Reverend Amy Umezu with us today from West LA. She's going to be delivering a message both to the Sunday school, Dharma school kids, as well as adults. So, Reverend Umezu, we thank you for joining us this morning. Alan Godo, of course, always helping us to stream the service on YouTube. And Howard, thank you for playing the organ for us this morning. Today, as you know, we are celebrating Hanamatsuri, which we call the Flower Festival, but also the celebration of the Buddha's birth. There are many variations on the legend of the Buddha's birth. It is said that Queen Maya, who is Siddartha's mother, was traveling to her parents' home to give birth. And she stopped to rest in a field of flowers, which was Lumbini Garden. And it was here, in the midst of all of the beautiful spring blossoms, that Prince Siddartha, the Buddha, was born. This flower altar, which was prepared this morning by our Dharma school and led by Kyoko Gibbs, represents Lumbini's garden. It is also said that a white elephant appeared in her dreams, which was an indication that her son would be a great leader, as the elephant represents mental strength, responsibility, and wisdom. So the tea that we pour over the baby Buddha represents the sweet rain that is said to have fallen the day that he was born, and symbolizes three things: the cleansing of our body, of our speech, and our thoughts. So as we pour the tea over the baby Buddha 3 times, let us think, may I eliminate all evil thoughts, may I cultivate good deeds, and may I help all living beings. Hanamatsuri is a joyous occasion, and today's celebration is an expression of gratitude for being able to hear and receive the Dharma and Buddha's wisdom and compassion. At this time, we will have the pronouncement of the service, Shishinai, by Reverend Gibbs, and then followed by sutra chanting. We'll be chanting Junirai this morning, which you'll find on page 49.
Thank you, Shelley. Shishin kei ilei namo shochiu hu Shishin kei ilei namo shochiu ho Shishin kei ilei namo shochiu so Today, on this occasion of the year 2024 Hanamatsuri service, the members of the Pasadena Buddhist Temple, our friends and our guests, reaffirm our reliance upon the 3 treasures of the truth. We rely upon the Buddha, we rely upon the Dharma, we rely upon the Sangha. Namamidabutsu, Namandabutsu, Namanabutsu, Namitabutsu, Namanabutsu, Namanabutsu. At this time, please join us in the chanting of the Junirai, which, as Shelley told you, is on page 49 in the service book. 慶州天人職業阿弥陀千両独尊在未明安楽無料武士主意念견지 신용료 팬노 샤마타견여도부 려목조약쇼렌게 고가 초라이 미다손 맨센 엔존요만 가츠 이코윤요센 니치가츠 쇼녀텐 크크시라 고가 초라이 미다손 한논 초다이 간슈주 슈주 메이토호 쇼곤 노부쿠게도 마교만 고가 초다이 미다손 무비무쿠 고효조 슈토쿠 케우켓뇨코쿠 쇼사리야쿠 토쿠지다이 고가 초라이 미다손 집보묘몬보사슈 무료쇼마료산단 이쇼슈조간 리키주 고가 초라이 미다손 혼타이 호켄시쇼케 젠건 쇼조 메우다이사 오히사 조뇨텐노 고가 초라이 미다손 집보 쇼라이 쇼부시 겐겐진두시 안락 센고 성겐쇼 극요 가초라이 미다손 쇼우무료무가토 야근요 그이 같은 요로 이슈세포 무묘지 고가 초라이 미다손 희선 부tet 무악구묘 야구문 연인 악구도후 슈니 시신교희손 고가 초라이 미다손 희손 무료 호벤교 무으쇼슈 악구치시키 오조후달 시보달 고가 초라이 미다손 가셋 희손 구독구지 슈젠 무헨 뇨카이 수이 zengon shoujo sha eseishu jo shohi ko. Namanabu, 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 namanabu. Ganiya shiku doku Yodo sei isai no na ishin onyo an Namana Burmana Namana 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 Burmana Namamira Butsu Namanda Butsu Namanda Butsu Namana Butsu Namamira Butsu Namana Butsu.
I'd like to ask representatives of the temple to now come forward and pour the tea over the baby Buddha. First, Dharma School.
He got it. He's got it. He's got it. Okay. Very good.
Junior YBA. Buddhist Women's Association. And Pasadena Buddhist Temple. Thank you. Slight change in the program. Now we're going to have Gatha in Lubini's Garden, which you'll find on page 117.
please stand for the singing of the Gata in Lumbini's Garden. Thank you very much. Please be seated. It will be my honor to give a very brief introduction of our guest speaker. And our guest speaker, Reverend Koe Amy Umezu, is going to speak to the children, and then we'll excuse the children to go to the Dharma School classrooms, and then she'll have a message for the adults as well. So we'll start with the children's message, but my introduction will be rather brief. Reverend Amy Koe Umezu was born in Los Angeles and raised in the San Francisco Bay Area. She is currently residing in Torrance, California, with her spouse, Marie. Reverend Koe received her Tokudo ordination in the Jodo Shinshu Hongan Jiha tradition in 2019 and her Kyoshi certification in 2022. She graduated the Institute of Buddhist Studies in May of last year, 2023, with a Master's of Arts in Buddhist Studies. Since the year 2020, Koe Sensei has been serving as a part-time assistant minister at the West Los Angeles Buddhist Temple, where she is training under the guidance of Reverend Koho Takata. In her spare time, Reverend Koe enjoys reading comic books, drawing, watching reruns of Seinfeld, Golden Girls, Smallville, and 80s sitcoms. So now you know all you need to about Amy Sensei, Koe Sensei, and I will ask you, if you may, to deliver your message.
Good morning, everybody. Can I invite you all to put our hands together and we recite Nambutsu together as I begin my message. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Butsu. Namo Butsu. Namo Butsu. Well, thank you very much, everybody, and thank you, Sensei and Pasadena members, for having me here again. I enjoy coming here and getting to know all of you. It's great to be able to be here today with you for Hanamatsuri observance. So kids, were you listening? Do you know what the celebration of Hanamatsuri is? Kids, anybody? Yeah, kids here are 35 and under. Anybody know what Hanamatsuri is? Buddha's birthday. Yes, Shakyamuni Buddha's birthday. So for us in Buddhism, that follow Buddhism and Jodo Shinshu, Buddhas are like superheroes for us. So Shakyamuni Buddha is like one of our superheroes. So do you all have a favorite character or superhero? Yeah? Oh, no. Are you okay? Okay. So kids or young adults, anybody have a? Iron Man. Okay, Iron Man. Anyone else? Oh. Wonder Woman. Okay, awesome. So, my favorite character, I watch reruns of Smallville that is about Superman growing up. So my favorite character is Superman. But when we have our favorite characters, don't you think it's important that we know their origin story? How do they get to be who they are? How do they get their powers? Why do they do what they do? Why do they support what they support? So Wonder Woman was born as an Amazonian woman. Iron Man was a rich person who at first dealt in war weaponry, but decided that was not good. So he changed and wanted to become a hero and use his technology for good. Superman was sent to Earth in a spacecraft to be saved from his planet exploding. But as I mentioned, Shakyamuni Buddha is our superhero. So do we know what Buddha's origin story is? So when we come together for Hanamatsuri, it's the tradition that we share Buddha's origin story because it is so important for us to know. So although Ms. Shelley gave a very nice summary of Shakyamuni Buddha's birth, I would like to share the story with you today. So the story begins a long time ago in ancient times in the country of India, which is now, for you older kids, he was born in northern India, which is modern-day Nepal. And in this ancient India, there lived a king and queen in a land called Kapilavastu. The king and queen were named King Suddhodana and Queen Maya. They didn't have any children, but one day, Queen Maya had a very special dream. In her dream, a white elephant came to visit her from a realm called Tushita heaven. And the elephant entered her stomach from her side. And this dream was like a prophecy of her being told she was going to have a child. And soon after the dream, indeed, she learned that she was going to have a baby. As it was getting closer to the time of giving birth to her baby, Queen Maya decided that, as was the custom, for her to go home to her parents' house to have her baby. So she had a group of servants go with her on her journey back home. But before they got to her home, she and her servants needed to rest because it was a time before planes, trains, and automobiles. So they had to walk. When they were at their rest stop in a beautiful garden called Lumbini Garden, Queen Maya gave birth to her baby boy. But her baby boy was not a regular baby. Right after he was born, can you guess what he was able to do? What do normal babies do when they're born? Cry. They cry. But this baby did not cry. We are told that he was able to stand. Not only did he stand, but he took 7 steps in each direction, north, south, east, and west. And after he took his steps, he didn't cry, but he spoke. He pointed to the sky and he pointed to the earth. And he said, "I alone am the world-honored one." And this special baby was given the name Siddartha. 1 week after he was born, unfortunately, his mother, Queen Maya, passed away. And he was raised by his auntie, Mahaprajapati. Mahaprajapati, along with King Suddhodana, raised Siddartha to be the best prince that he could be. And as he grew up, he was the best in school, he was the best in sports, he was the best in anything that he wanted to do. And because his father was a king and they had all the money in the world, there was nothing that he ever wanted that he couldn't get. And when he was old enough, he got married and he had his own son. He still had everything he could have ever wanted in his life. But can you guess what? Do you think he was happy? If you had everything in the world, would you be happy? Yeah? Unfortunately, even though Siddartha had everything in the world he could ever ask for, he was not inside, he was not really happy. So one day, he asked a chariot driver to take him around the kingdom that he would one day be the king of. And while he was on his outing, he saw four different things, four important things. The first thing that he noticed was someone that looked elderly. And he asked his chariot driver, "Driver, what is wrong with that person? There's something wrong with them. They don't look like me." And he pointed to that elderly person. Sensei, I don't mean to point at you, I'm sorry. My finger was just going that way. So the driver answered, "Oh, that person is getting old. That will happen to everyone." Siddartha was in shock. He had never heard this before. As they continued on, Siddartha then saw someone else that didn't look like the people that he was used to seeing. This person was not feeling well, so they were sick. And Siddartha asked, "Driver, what's happening to that person over there?" And the driver responded, "That person is sick with an illness. All of us will experience that sometime in our lives." Again, Siddartha's mind was blown. He had never seen anything like this. A third sight caught Siddartha's eye. It was a funeral procession with a coffin. "What's happening over there?" "Someone has died. It's a very sad thing that will happen one day for all of us." Siddartha was overcome with sadness to see all of the difficulties that people, including him, one day must experience. And so, as they were coming towards the end of his outing, he saw someone who looked peaceful. And so he asked, "Who is that?" "That person is a monk. Monks are people who search for spiritual truth and joy." Siddartha then knew that this is what he needed to do. So the next day, he left his family. He left all of his belongings. He left his home. And he decided he was going to go live with the other monks in the forest, with the goal of figuring out what caused people to become sad and unhappy with life, and how to overcome these difficulties that he encountered when he was out in his kingdom. He tried for many years, and for a time, he even decided to live the exact opposite of having everything. He used to have everything in the world, and he knew that didn't bring him happiness, so he decided, well, maybe if I really give up everything, including eating, that will be the answer. But can you guess what happened to him when he did that? Even older kids? What happens if we don't eat? We get tired and sick, yes. And so he lost energy, and he was on the verge of his life ending. But fortunately, somebody came by and saw that he was starving. And so this woman generously gave Siddartha some food. And he started to get better. He realized that having everything does not give people joy, and having nothing, giving up everything, renouncing everything, also does not give people joy. So with this puzzle, he said, "I'm going to sit under this tree until I figure it out. I am determined." And so, after sitting and thinking about it and contemplating on the issue, finally, he realized the answer he was searching for. He said, "I got it. I understand what causes suffering, and I understand how to overcome it. It is the teaching of Amida Buddha that will help everyone. I must teach it to them. And after Shakyamuni Buddha made this awesome realization, all of the animals in the forest and nature around him became happy. And from this moment, Siddhartha became Buddha, an awakened one. And he was known as Shakyamuni. And as a Buddha, he began to teach others around him about Amida Buddha, immeasurable wisdom and compassion. And this was called the first turning of the Dharma wheel. So this is the origin story of Shakyamuni Buddha. And it is because Shakyamuni Buddha realized this truth of Amida Buddha, immeasurable wisdom and compassion, that we can be here today. As I mentioned, for Buddhists, Shakyamuni Buddha is like a superhero. Okay, kids? If someone asks who your favorite superhero, what's your answer going to be? It's okay to say Iron Man and Wonder Woman and Superman, but we should have another one. Shakyamuni Buddha. So, of course, it's very important for us to know Buddha's origin story, but it's equally important for us to know what we can learn from Shakyamuni Buddha's story. Why was it so important that Shakyamuni Buddha shared what he awakened to? He realized that he needed to share wisdom and compassion with everyone. And so this is what we can learn too, is that we should try to listen and awaken to this wisdom and compassion so that we can share it with others as well. And from his story, what else can we learn? Does having everything in the world make you happy? No. Does having nothing make you happy? No. So we need to try to find that middle way for ourselves. This is part of the wisdom and compassion that Shakyamuni Buddha awakened to. And because Shakyamuni Buddha wished for this to be shared with all people, we can know that this Dharma is always with us. Amida Buddha is always with us. Whether we are experiencing joyful times, challenging times, difficult times, such as sitting in the service, sad times, Amida Buddha is always here with us. And Shakyamuni Buddha even gave us a special word so that we can connect with Amida Buddha. Can you guess what the word is? We say it all the time. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu is the name that Shakyamuni Buddha gave us, left us, to recite when we feel connected to this Dharma. So as you go to your Dharma school classes, I hope that you can remember not just the story of Shakyamuni Buddha, but the teaching and practice that Shakyamuni Buddha left for all of us, which is the teaching of Amida Buddha, the wisdom and compassion that is being given to us so that we can learn how to overcome our hardships and keep Namo Amida Butsu in our hearts and minds to recite. So kids, what's the magic word? Namo Amida Butsu, okay. Thank you very much for allowing me to share this story with you. And please remember it as your favorite superhero's origin story, okay? So allow me to close this kid's message with Gasho. Please join me in Nembutsu. Namo Amida Butsu. 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 Namo.
Thank you, Sensei. It's always great to be reminded of the story of Hanamatsuri. I think we're going to take a 2-minute intermission and excuse the kids. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your patience. I believe our last Dharma School student has left to go next door for the activities. I will again ask you to welcome Reverend Koe Umezu, and she will give us a message that's, I'm sure, just as interesting as the last one, which I thought was an adultish message too. So, but no, it was good. It was good. The kids got it, but it was good for us too. But this one will be especially for us. Sensei, onegai shimasu.
Please join me once again in Gassho as I read a passage written by Venerable Shinran. The reason that Buddha was born into this world was to reveal the truth and reality of the fundamental vow. He taught that it is difficult to meet, revere, and behold, and it is as rare as the blossoming of the Udambara flower. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Dao. Namo Dao. Namo Dao. Well, thank you very much again, everyone, for being here and for listening to the Dharma School message. And as I have just shared, it is the tradition for us to listen to Shakyamuni Buddha's story in observance of his birthday. But in the story of his birth that has been handed down to us, I think that there are many aspects that we hear in the story that we may question, be like, what? Did that really happen? And we might want to throw it away or put it aside as a fantastical, untrue story. However, I encourage us, all of us, to not overlook these fantastical aspects and think that they are irrelevant, but know that it is through story that many values and teachings of Buddhism are passed down to us. So my appreciation of this story is that it is not a fairy tale written for children, but rather it's a story that is trying to teach us the importance of Shakyamuni Buddha's life and the teaching that Venerable Shinran clarified in, it's to teach us the importance of Shakyamuni Buddha's life and teaching. And Venerable Shinran clarified in the passage that I just read that the teaching of Amida's vow is why Shakyamuni Buddha appeared in this world. So how does Shakyamuni Buddha's birth story, origin story, teach us that? The story begins with a white elephant coming from Tsuchita heaven in Queen Maya's dream. And as Michelle explained in the summary, that white elephant represents that the queen was going to give birth to somebody great. But Tsuchita heaven is the name of the realm where bodhisattvas dwell immediately before they become a Buddha. So, from the very beginning of this story, when we hear that an elephant came from Tsuchita heaven, we know that this story is going to be about a Buddha who has come into this world to teach us about enlightenment. And we can know that this is not going to be a story about any ordinary person or just a prince or a king. It is about a Buddha. The second part of the story that I think we may find fantastical is that, and I think the other story, but baby Siddartha is sometimes described as being born out of his mother's armpit. Have you heard this version of the story before? Yeah. In the ancient Indian caste system, it was said that people are born out of different parts of the body depending on their caste. So the lowest class of people, the untouchables, are said to be born out of feet. And Brahmins, the teachers, are said to be born from heads. So that when we are told that Shakyamuni Buddha was born from an armpit, this is telling us that he was born into a family of warriors and rulers. And so from this point, we know that Buddha entered our world through a caste of warriors and royalty. The third fantastical part of the story is that the baby stood up and walked 7 steps in each direction and spoke. In Buddhist understanding, there are 6 realms of hardship and suffering, or we call realms of birth and death. And these are the realms that we are said to continuously being struggling through. And what is the point of Buddhism? To get out of suffering. Yes, so we want to get out of the 6 realms, right? So the 7th step that Buddha took teaches us that Buddha found the way to transcend these 6 realms. And also is teaching us, by him walking in all 4 directions, that this teaching is for all beings in all directions. At the same time, he pointed to the sky and the ground and declared that he alone was the world-honored one. This tells us that not only was Shakyamuni Buddha's teaching a liberation for beings of this world, but for all other realms as well. This teaching, as I've shared and as we know, is that of immeasurable wisdom and compassion, which we call Amida Buddha. The last part that I would like to talk about today for this portion of my talk is the sweet rain and the surrounding nature, being happy, reacting to Buddha's birth, the flowers blooming, everything that's described in the Lumbini Garden song that we just sang. I think that this is trying to teach us about the natural joy and calmness that resounds when we truly encounter Buddha and his true teaching. And again, in the passage that I just shared, Venerable Shinran clarified that Shakyamuni Buddha's reason for appearing in this world was to share the true teaching of Amida Buddha, namely Amida Buddha's 18th vow that resolves to liberate all beings from the realm of hardship and suffering. And this teaching was revealed to us by Shakyamuni Buddha through the Sutra of Immeasurable Life. And in this story of the Sutra of Immeasurable Life, Shakyamuni Buddha is also telling a story, another origin story of another Buddha, that of Amida Buddha. It is told in the sutra that before becoming Amida Buddha, Amida was a king named Dharmakara, who encountered a Buddha and was inspired to become a Buddha himself in order to liberate all beings from suffering, all beings who live in ignorance and fear. Through this aspiration, Dharmakara became a bodhisattva who made 48 vows in order to attain Buddhahood. And chief among these 48 vows was the 18th vow that promised that anyone in the realms of suffering who sincerely heard the Buddha name, Namo Amida Butsu, entrusted in it and recited it with praise, born in their Buddha field, which would be called a land of utmost bliss. It would be in that land that all beings would become Buddha. After making these vows, Bodhisattva Dharmakara practiced the Dharma tirelessly for innumerable eons, visiting all the countless Buddha lands, being reborn again and again and again in all different forms, until they attained perfect, unsurpassable virtues, allowing them to become a Buddha, immeasurable Buddha, and establishing their land of bliss so that all beings can attain Buddhahood. This is the origin story of Amida Buddha in a nutshell. When we hear this story, just like the Shakyamuni Buddha story, we might get confused. Did it really happen? Was there really a person named Dharmakara? And am I supposed to understand that there really is a land somewhere out in the West called the Pure Land or the Land of Utmost Bliss. My appreciation is that those questions are not the questions that we should be asking. Rather, what we should be asking is, just as we did with Shakyamuni Buddha's story, what am I meant to receive from this story that Shakyamuni Buddha is telling? Just, again, as we listen to the message of Shakyamuni Buddha, we can just hear them as a story, or we can understand that there is a deeper meaning. In this same way, I think that we should listen to the origin story of Amida Buddha. To listen to this story with its deeper meaning is what Venerable Shinran calls listening to why Amida Buddha's 18th vow was established and how it was fulfilled. When we reflect on the story, Dharmakara wanted to become a Buddha because he recognized that there were countless beings who lived in ignorance and fear. And there would always be countless beings throughout time who are living this way. Because of these suffering beings, out of deep compassion for all, Dharmakara was resolute in establishing a way for everyone without exception to be liberated from their ignorance and fear and awaken to enlightenment. Dharmakara vowed that it would be through his Buddha name, being heard by all beings in all 10 directions, that all would be awakened to the aspiration to become Buddha themselves in the land of utmost bliss. That is the why Dharmakara became Amida Buddha. And one way that I think we can appreciate this part of the story is to realize who is this enlightenment for? Who is the story telling us that this enlightenment is for? Dharmakara resolved to bring all beings to enlightenment without exception tells us that this enlightenment is open for all of us without exception. But also within this story, we are told that the intended recipients of Dharmakara's activity is all beings who live in ignorance and fear. As Venerable Shinran clarifies, this means ordinary, unenlightened beings, such as myself. For Buddha's name to be heard means that it is not just Buddha sharing the Dharma, but it is being shared with the intention that it be heard by us. Thus, we can know that this Dharma, this vow, is for me, because I live in the realm of suffering. I am full of ignorance and fear and 3 poisons, with no way to escape the situation on my own. This Dharma is being shared for me. But we may think, well, there's so many different ways that I can receive the Dharma. Why should I listen to the Dharma through this vow only? This brings us to reflect on how the vow was fulfilled. When we listen to this teaching about how Amida Buddha fulfilled its vow, we have the opportunity to truly contemplate and reflect on what qualities Amida and the land of bliss really have. What kinds of virtues do they embody? The story tells us that Bodhisattva visited all the countless Buddhas and lands and practiced the Dharma for eons and perfected all Dharma virtues. This teaches us that through visiting all the lands, Dharmakara took all the best qualities and teachings of all the Buddhas in existence and made it part of its virtues. There is no other Buddha that can surpass its wisdom and compassion because it became immeasurable wisdom and compassion itself. The Buddha and its land of bliss, both immeasurable wisdom and compassion, are embodied within, became the name Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu, as embodiment of great wisdom and great compassion, is totally pure of 3 poisons. It is the wisdom of impermanence and codependent origination. It is the wisdom that all beings are of same quality and equally embraced within enlightenment. It is the pure virtues of selflessness, non-craving, non-attachment, truth, and reality. Not only did Bodhisattva Dharmakara practice to become these virtues, but through their practice, the story tells us that Bodhisattva took on all forms of life throughout living over aeons. What we can learn from this is that there is not a person or struggle that can exist that Namo Amida Butsu cannot understand and cannot help. This is the great compassion of Namo Amida Butsu. Thus, when I hear this story, I appreciate that this teaching, Namo Amida Butsu, is a teaching that comes from a pureness that is outside of and in complete contrast to me, my ordinary, unenlightened heart and mind. The essence of Namo Amida Butsu is a heart and mind that does not judge people and things in contrast to how I might judge people and things. It does not exclude people and things like I might do. It does not favor people and things. It does not flip-flop or waver. And because it is immeasurable and unhindered, it is in all places at all times, and it is not temporary, and it is not unreachable by anyone, nor does it ever cease. And because it has these qualities, we can know that it is trying to tell us that it is completely reliable for anyone to follow. And lastly, because it is being shared with all of us equally, it is a universal teaching. It does not expect any of us to change who we are or prove anything to Buddha or other people in order to listen to it and receive it. We only need to be open to hearing and receiving this true and real wisdom and compassion. Because of these qualities that are shown to us through the story, we can realize that without a doubt, it is something that we can entrust in and take refuge in and rely on. And that is what Amida Buddha vowed that it would inspire us to do. And to share this amazing teaching, practice, and enlightenment that we call Namo Amida Butsu is the reason that Shakyamuni Buddha appeared in this world. And so we are gathered today to observe Hanamatsuri and listen to the story of Shakyamuni Buddha and Amida Buddha. But again, I hope we can remember that these stories, these origin stories of the Buddha are not, we should not just think of them as fantastic fairy tales or something that is being told to make kids excited. But it is to teach us that the Buddha, they are great teachers, Shakyamuni Buddha and Amida, and they are sharing with us a great transcendent teaching that is being shared and expounded for all of us to hear. So again, just as we may want to not, it's difficult for us to understand exactly what Shakyamuni Buddha's story is telling us, if we listen deeper, we will understand its deeper meaning. In this same vein, when we hear the story of Dharmakara Bodhisattva, let's not get stuck on wondering if it happened or didn't happen, but let us regard it as a story that is skillfully teaching us the qualities of ourselves and immeasurable wisdom and compassion, Namo Amida Butsu, so that all of us will be inspired to attain Buddhahood in the land of utmost bliss. And this is all due to Shakyamuni Buddha appearing in this world, that we are able to hear and receive this profound teaching that never ceases to work to liberate us from our own ignorance and fear. So let us continue to live our lives with hearts and minds of indebtedness for Amida's vow and Shakyamuni Buddha's coming into this world to share this wisdom and compassion with us. In closing, I would like to once again thank you all very much for allowing me to be here today to share my appreciation of these stories and the Nembutsu teaching with all of you. And I thank you all very much for taking the time out of your lives and making the effort to be here today to listen to the Nembutsu teaching. I hope that as we continue to listen to the Buddha Dharma, specifically Namo Amida Butsu, we can all openly receive the sincere, true heart and mind of wisdom and great compassion of the Buddhas Amida and Shakyamuni Buddha. I encourage us all to continue to reflect on the meaning of Amida's vow and allow its wisdom and compassion to permeate our hearts and minds and serve as a foundation for our lives each and every day. I would like to now officially close my message by reading a letter written by Master Renyo. I invite you to bow your heads as I read this letter. Lay people in the latter age who lack wisdom should deeply rely on Amida Buddha with singleness of heart, entrusting themselves to the Buddha single-mindedly and unwaveringly for their emancipation without turning their thoughts to other matters. However deep and heavy their evil karma may be, Amida Tathagata unfailingly saves them. This is the essence of the 18th vow that assures our birth in the Pure Land through the Nembutsu. Once our heart is thus settled, we should say the Nembutsu, whether awake or asleep, for as long as we live. Humbly and respectfully. Mandai muchi no zaike shinju no nanyo taran tomogara wa kokoro itotsu ni shite amida mutto fukaku tanomimairasute sarani yo no kata e kokoro furazu ishi nikko nibu tasuke tamae tomo-san shujoma Tatoi zaigo wa jinju nari tomo, kanarazu mida nyorai wa sukui mashimasu beshi. Kore sunawachi dai 18の念仏の情の世願の心なり。核のごとく賢女しての上には出ても覚めても命のあらん限りは。称名念仏すべきものなり。アナカシコ、アナカシコ。ナモアミダ仏、ナマンダ仏、ナマンダ、ナマンダ仏、ナマンダ、ナマンダ仏、ナマンダ、ナマンダ、ナマンダ。
Thank you so much, Reverend Umezu, for a really important message and a very much more relevant, I think, understanding of the origin story. So we're very grateful to have you here. Are there any announcements at this time?
Just real quick, the Obon shirts are in, so if you got one, you can now pick them up. So thank you.
So our usual schedule this week means we'll be back here next Sunday at 10 a.m. We'll be here Tuesday and Thursday, 1 p.m. for Tai Chi in the gym usually. And it runs about 40 minutes. Tuesday evening, we have a class that's either or all meditation, sutra chanting, and vocal nembutsu, depending who comes. And then 7 p.m. will be a study class. And I hope to see you at some of these activities, the Tai Chi study classes, or most importantly, our service next Sunday at 10 a.m. Thank you for being here.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Marvin Inoue, and I'm, again, a volunteer down at Japanese American National Museum. Just wanted to make you aware of something called the art of the benshi. This is about Japanese films before they were talkie, silent films. And they've been having this whole weekend has been a performance, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and today there are two last performances, one at 3 and one at 7, and they're at the UCLA Hammer Museum, and they are free because some donor paid for all the seats. So I just wanted to let you know, it's called The Art of the Benshi. I have a few of these cards back there. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Donna Mitoma. Reverend Umezu, my superhero is Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And this is her symbol. It's her gavel, and it's about justice and the rule of law. Anyway, that's kind of an aside. Thank you, everybody who helped with the bingo event we had yesterday. It was really fun. And we had a 50-50 raffle, and I won the 50-50 raffle with Marvin, my husband, and it is immediately going into the kitchen fund. We are going to remodel the kitchen after so much. This,
We'll get more money. We want donations to fix our kitchen. We don't want to take half of this winnings from Marvin.
oh, no. I told Marvin yesterday, don't get attached, it's gone. But anyway, I wanted to share with you a letter that was in today's Times in the letters to the editor. Kind of a different topic from Hanamatsuri, but very important. It's from a man from Huntington Beach called Daryl Petrie, and it's in response to an editorial in the Times that said it just feels so bleak. Apathy could decide the 24 election. Our voting choices in 2024 may be bleak for some who feel that the candidates for president do not represent or excite them. But what is more bleak than voter apathy, especially now in our current state of great political upheaval? The ship of state is on fire, and we have people refusing to be part of the bucket brigade. Lives are at stake. But they don't like the captain. They complain that there are no fire hoses, and why should they have to use buckets? Or they think others will get the job done. They deliberately forfeit their right to vote, forfeit a freedom. They neglect, as privileged citizens of the United States, to participate in its governance. What part of we the people do they not understand? This country is our responsibility to keep, to make better. We've always had to fight for it. The election is in November, but now's the time to be thinking about that. Our freedom is really at stake. This is a total aside to Hanamatsuri. Excuse me for for adding that, but it's important. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. It's so good to see so many people and a lot of new faces. Just a reminder that after you offer the tea to the baby Buddha, please join us in the classrooms because we have otoki for you today, and it's already on the table, so please go. If you can't stay, go on in and grab one, and we'll wrap it up for you to take home. But the BWA ladies came early this morning to fix your snack, which looks like more than a snack. It's more like a lunch. And again, thanks to Lori and to Mark and everybody else that helped last night with the bingo. The next thing that we have to raise money is a chicken teriyaki dinner, and there's only going to be 300 dinners prepared. And if you know our chicken, you know it's very popular, so get your orders in. We have some order blanks here. And what else is there? Oh, pickleball today, starting at 11:30, Ron? 11:30, and then tomorrow again at 11. And then we have origami with Lisa, not tomorrow Monday, but the following Monday on Zoom. Thank you, Reverend, what? No board members at pickleball. No, right. Well, I don't have my tennis shoes anyway. But anyway, so thank you all for coming today. It's a very special service. And again, the beautiful flowers, thanks to everybody that donated the flowers for the Hanamido. And Harold looks great, our elephant. So anyway, please make sure you offer tea before you depart. And please join us for some refreshments, and that way we get to know you better, okay? Thank you.
Jean. Yeah, and I also want to thank Howard for playing organ and Shelley for sharing the service. I want to thank Alan Goto for streaming the service and recording it, and also for helping us put up the banner outside. I want to thank Reverend Umezu for giving the wonderful Dharma messages. And you have a chance to speak with her briefly, perhaps after service, if you come next door. Do feel free to offer sweet tea over the statue of the baby Buddha. One more time before you come join us for a snack next door. And if you have children, just watch them that they don't fall. We're elderly people like me.
Please stand for closing meditation. Each idea that is thought, each word that is spoken, each action that is taken changes the whole pattern of the universe. For the universe is interdependence. Think, speak, and act then, always in the eternal now, with compassion and understanding for your own enlightenment and for the enlightenment of all sentient beings. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you very much for attending. Please offer tea.
Thank you all very much. Hope to see you next door.